Well, hello, 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 and welcome to today's podcast. Unfortunately, it's still the yet to be named podcast, but we'll figure it out eventually. So, welcome. Excited. We have an amazing guest today. We're going to talk about something I know some of you have probably heard about, but might not know a lot about. I feel like, I'll just say it. I feel like our press has not been telling the story very well. So I'm excited to have somebody who's in the thick of things, that is on the ground helping Helene victims. So super, super excited about this. And again, as you guys are coming in, just give me a shout out. Where in the world are you? I am in Virginia this morning. It is a beautiful sunny morning here. Little chilly, but it's getting them to be that time of the year. So I know some of you probably were impacted by Helene yourselves. For us here in Virginia, which is stunning, from normally coming from Tampa, let me back up. Many of you guys know that I am recently relocated to Virginia from Tampa. So living in Tampa for almost 20 years, hurricanes are just like normal. You hear about them all the time. You evacuate if you need to, you ride them out, whatever the scenario is. But Virginia, why in the world would we get impacted by a hurricane? But Hurricane Helene was so massive, it literally covered the whole southeast side of the United States. It was an immense storm. And we actually lost electricity here in Virginia for about 5 days. Our little county here, like 98% of people had no electricity. But I mean, we got a lot of rain and we had some down trees and no electricity, but nothing compared to other people in North Carolina, for example, or other locations that really, really got hit hard. So that's the exciting thing. We're going to be talking about this today, because how does the tech piece of this layer in? How can we, as marketers, be a part of something that could affect change? So I'm super excited about our special guest today. Y'all, this young lady is just pretty incredible. I will say that. She is the CEO of Give Blockchain. Her name is Faith Thurston, and she is passionate about giving. She's traveled around the world, and she has seen the firsthand benefits that come from even the smallest amount of help. I think lots of times we think that we have to give big amounts of money in order to affect something that's going to matter. It's not that's not true in so many parts of the world. So from Fiji to Thailand and Africa, she's participated in campaigns that bring global awareness to improve conditions for those in need. Faith remembers a powerful lesson that she learned very early in life at the very young age of 17, while serving those who had so little. Giving is a lifestyle, not a choice. So I want to say that again. I think so often we don't know how to. I'll speak for myself. I feel like so many times I don't know how to make a difference, right? Like, how do you know that your money is going to go where it needs to go, right? So the whole concept of, giving is a lifestyle, not a choice. I think that is just that needs to be a motto for sure. But she has visited different foreign countries, and as a CNA for assisted living facility, she saw how simple acts of kindness can rescue and bring positive change to those who need it. But through these experiences, she has passionately embraced the idea that collectively giving to others makes our world a better place. Amen. I absolutely agree. So giving a little girl a life by rescuing her from sex endangerment, helping a family have clean water, and providing a way for other projects to be funded are just a few ways that her organization, Give, can change the world. So she's got a ton of determination, and she is leading the way when it comes to, giving through, interestingly enough, the blockchain. So you guys, you have heard me say and talk a lot about the blockchain over the last few weeks. So how does giving and the blockchain even work? So put your hands together for our special guest today, Faith. Hey, girl. Excited to have you.
Guys. Yeah, thanks for having me. That was such an awesome introduction. Thank you so much for introducing me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a little bit about me. I have been in the humanitarian space since I was 16 years old. I've always liked to travel. So when I was 16, I had the opportunity to save up my own money and go to Fiji. And that's when I realized when I got to Fiji, it wasn't like what you think it is on the water. Beautiful huts, nice water. It was a third world country with people that had never had um, access to clean food or water ever in their life or even a bed. So that was super eye opening for me. And then ever since then, I've wanted to find a way to donate all over the world to impactfully make a difference. And I love what you said where it doesn't have to be billions of dollars, millions of dollars. It could be literally $1 and you can make a difference yourself.
Yes. I love that. I think that's the misconception a lot of times. I think the world, most of the people in the world are good people and they want to help. They just don't know how, lots of times. Like, and there's been so many, I would say, disconnect for when it comes to like, does my money really go where it needs to go? Like, am I really helping when I give this money? Whether it's $1 or it's $100 or it's, $5,000, it's always that like fear that you're just giving money and somebody's living high, going to Fiji and living in, or having a vacation where when the regular person that lives in Fiji is struggling. So let me can you I know we talked a little bit about your backstory, but can you take us on a quick journey on how you got involved specifically with the Give blockchain?
Yeah, so, yeah, at that time, I went and traveled to Fiji, and then, within that same month, I was just really excited to be going to, continue this, like, I had this spark in me all of a sudden, and so within the next week of being home, I actually went to Thailand, and booked a trip when I was in Fiji, and then got home from Thailand, and I just was like, "How can I do this for my job?" And I was 16 and I was working in a pizza shop in Subway at the time, and I actually had connections to the green blockchain. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of Set Power Free, but they were talking about how Give was an idea. And I love ideas in the first place, but I really love actions. I think actions are really important in our life. Like when we say we're going to do something, we do it. And so I was actually a customer service agent at Green and then, or Set Power Free now. And when I was there, I just was like, how can we make Give a reality? And so we had all these charities come in. We have two of them. The ones in the very beginning are Who Lives and Free a Girl, and they came into the office, and I was just really excited to hear about what they do. So Free a Girl does human trafficking. They've saved at the time they had saved 1,200 girls, and now they've saved 6,000 since we've been working with them, which has been amazing. And then Who Lives, they bring clean water all over the world they made this technology where it's a drill that you can actually physically drill in the ground with physical labor instead of having big machines go into Africa and parts that it can't reach. And so they've done over thousands of wells and brought water to millions of people. And so anyways, I was able to get connected with them. And then when I graduated from high school, it was still not a company yet. And so I had just went to the founder and just was like, hey, I feel like I'm an expert in this group of expertise. Like I've been to so many countries at this point. I had been to Africa, I had been to Thailand, I had been to Fiji twice. And I had been to so many um, charity events too as well. And like you said, I was a CNA for a long time too. So in high school, my job was a CNA, and a CNA is a certified nursing assistant. So I worked in elderly homes, and I was able to help take care of those people that weren't able to take care of themselves. And so at this point of my life, I felt like I was able to handle and understand that community. And so they're like, okay, perfect. We would love for you to take over, and that's been since 2021. And since then, I've been able to get on. We could actually get to references. I have 6 charities that we signed up that have gone through our process, which I'll explain. And we've actually had like 30 charities probably approach me. It's super hard to choose which ones are the ones that are the best ones. But the 6 that I've nailed down, I feel like are really, really amazing. And like you said, with the funding part, our main goal with Give is that we can find charities that 100% the funds go to the charity, and the
Yeah.
charity uses them 100% of the time.
Yeah, that is so awesome, Faith. I tell you. So, switching gears slightly, Talk to us a little bit about obviously Hurricane Helene. I feel like there's not a lot of information. I mean, I feel like the national news here in the U.S. at least has not done a very good job of telling the stories about what's actually happening. So, can you paint us a picture of what's happening on the ground there? I mean, I know you're involved. You've taken this on as an additional part of what you're doing within your existing ecosystem. So, what is really happening there? What's the struggles and what are the needs?
Yeah, so we actually got really lucky because one of the charities that we signed on a year ago, they're called Aerial Recovery, and I met them at a human trafficking event because they're ex-military vets that after they're done with the war, they want to put their strength and their power somewhere amazing. So they actually rescue little children, and what they've decided to do since the hurricane is actually go into the hurricane areas and film like what's going on there, and then on top of that they have 1,000 troops out now helping everyone in those communities. So first it was Hurricane Helene, and that really stood out to me because like you're saying on the news, they're not sharing what they should be sharing, and that's the number one thing that bothers me so bad is that there's things that we don't talk about, and it's really important to talk about them. So in North Carolina, there's actually a town called Asheville that's completely wiped. There is like no houses left. There are people missing. They've had over 100 people die, and there's still 1,000 missing that they're looking for. Air Recovery actually they rescued a newborn baby the other day, on top of a roof together. There are like children that they've rescued in boats that are hanging on trees. Um, there are people's houses are just completely gone with stuff that they've had for their whole entire lives. Like I can't imagine personally my whole house being wiped and then having nothing. Um, and then like they're getting diapers, they're getting food, power, stuff that people don't have access to right now. And the only thing that our government's doing is they've only given each family some $150, which is nothing.
Nothing. I mean, like I said, I lived in Florida for so long and saw a lot. Technically, never lived through because my husband always evacuated us, so we never had to like stay in the thick of things. But knowing so many people, especially on the Miami side of the state, where usually the hurricanes would come in there and total devastation. I mean, to your point, but normally the government was pretty good about being there and assistance, and I just feel like there's been such a lack of communication or whatever. I mean, I don't want this to be a political thing. That's not what I'm saying. But the point is that people need help and they're not really getting it. And that's really one of the reasons I wanted to have this conversation with you this morning, Faith, because can you, like, you just shared some stories, but from the perspective of keying in on one thing that really just, I don't know if you say tore at your heart or just really maybe even warmed your heart. What's a story throughout this ecosystem that you have been a part of or had, maybe not physically on the ground, but the charities that you're working with have been able to impact? Do you have one you want to share?
Yeah, do you want me to talk about the hurricane or do you want me to talk about like a specific story that resonates with me?
You choose. Obviously, the hurricane, we're talking about that today. But one of the things I love about what you're doing, it is so much bigger than the Hurricane Helene. I know you guys have saved numerous girls from sex trafficking. I mean, there's so many things that probably so many stories you could share. So you pick what you want to share.
Okay, I'll actually do both then. So one that I'll do that has always stood out to me. This happened in 2022. I actually went to a meeting with the owners of OUR, which is Operation Underground Railroad. If you guys have seen the movie Sound of Freedom, and Free a Girl, and we were in this meeting, and um, we were talking about like the children that are missing, and I don't know if you guys know this, but there's over 2 million people or 2 million children in the world that are used for human trafficking right now and are missing to this day. um and we're in this room and they pull up a video and they said, do you want to see an open operation? And I was like, okay, yeah. I didn't know what to expect of it, because I'd heard about it 100 times. I'd read about it. Our funds were going to sourcing them, but I'd never seen anything. And so they show me a live camera, and it's a little boy in Ecuador, and he's on a balcony, and they're obviously doing things that are horrible, that I had to watch. And from that moment on, I was just like, I never want a child to endure what I just had to watch ever in my life. Like, I will do everything in my power to make sure that those little kids are safe. And it's such a real thing that happens, and no one talks about it because everyone's scared to talk about it. But I'm not, because I want this to completely go away. This should be one of the main things our country is focused on ending. And then with the hurricane, my husband is actually from Tampa, and so that I just married, and so we're staying at we're in Utah, and his family all lives there. His grandparents, his aunts, his uncles. And on the day of the hurricane, we just kept getting phone calls of people crying and asking what they should do. And I started crying because I was like, this is so real. Like, this is a real life disaster. And imagine, I have family there. Imagine the people that just lost their homes, lost their babies, lost their grandma that passed away. There's animals, farm animals, floating all down the rivers into the oceans that have drowned. They found over 500 dogs already that were left. And so this hurricane is just devastating, and it's something that it's the biggest hurricane ever to happen in our country, and it's like one of the biggest natural disasters too that's ever happened. And it's just really unfortunate because they had one hurricane and they had the next one come within 4 days.
You know, to your point, you said something I really wanted to key in on. A lot of times, uncomfortable topics are hard for us to, if we're not involved in it, it's like, okay, it's not happening, but you just gave a stunning statistic. Over 2 million children worldwide are being used for sex trafficking, y'all. Yikes. All right, let's talk about what is the Give blockchain, and do you prefer like to refer to it as the Give, um, or Limeade or Lemonade? How do you make sure I'm saying it correctly? Is it Lemonade or
Yeah, so we were actually originally called, so blockchains and companies are separate because the blockchains are run by the community members, and the companies are obviously ran by brand presidents and people to keep filling in the products that can be used. But the actual blockchain is not owned by anybody, so that's why they have to be separated. But originally we were called Give United, and then we changed to Lemonade because we changed aid in that because we thought it was clever with the humanitarian side of it. And then we were also just thinking, like, when you always hear the quote, like, life makes lemons, um, you know, so we were thinking about how the nodes actually are the lemons, and that actually is what is, if you squeeze those out, that's what will make all of our charity goods and happiness come true. And I'll explain what nodes are too, but
Yeah, well, one of the things I would love to talk about is one of the biggest problems, and I've highlighted it as a giver myself. Donating to charity, I never have any visibility into it after it leaves my bank, like right, like or my check, or what but leaves my bank. Let's just put it that way. And I think a lot of people, hear the back end stories. I mean, even when we give to fundraisers that we see on Facebook, like, through some of the mechanisms that are out there today, the reality is most of those funds don't really go where they need to go. So can you explain what makes you guys different when it comes to the actual giving process? Because I think that mission statement is so impactful when you can actually, so I'm not going to keep talking about it because I want you to tell people, what is it? What makes you guys so much different than others?
yeah, so our mission statement is that we are a for-profit company that supports non-profits on the blockchain. And what makes us different is, so a lot of charities in the United States, they actually only use 20% of their funds. For example, the Red Cross, they get $80 million a year, and they only use 20% of their funds to actually go to the children. The other 80% go to pay for their operational costs of their hospitals, their staff, people like that. And so But a lot of people that donate, they don't understand that. And so what we wanted to do is tie in blockchain technology, because blockchain technology is, fortunately for us, getting easier, and Lemonade is making it easier for people to use blockchain. But you can actually track it from start to finish and see where it goes, who got the money, who received it, where they spent it. It's super transparent, and on top of that, you can also because it's on a blockchain and you can see the actions for it. You can actually earn kind of like Sky Mile points, rewards for giving as well. And so what makes us so different is that we have actually committed all of our charities to use the blockchain, and so they accept charitable donations in cryptocurrency funds like Bitcoin, Ethereum, USDC, USDT, and they also accept our reward give on top of that. And the reason that they're doing that is because this opens a whole new opportunity for donating. And I really think that this will change the world with how people are using blockchain technology, just because of the tracking aspect of that. We can see, for example, for the hurricane, like if we can track exactly where that money is going to, then you can see that there is a disaster there, and that there is help that's being needed. Um, yeah.
Yeah, and that is to me is one of the biggest reasons that what you guys are doing. I mean, one, you've got specific charities that are doing impactful things like real, like saving girls, children from sex traffickers, or helping people on the ground and for Hurricane Helene, many other examples. But one of the things that I think is so fascinating is you're using the technology that's available to you now, which hasn't always been available, and the ability for the giver to have transparency in this process. That's huge, in my opinion. And to your point, I think it will absolutely, if more people understand the opportunity to actually see their money and where it's going, and know that it is having an impact, more people are going to donate to charities that are on the blockchain. And I think that's super, super powerful. So, one of the things you said is 100% of the money goes to wherever the charity, and it's not all operational. It's not, or 80% of it, is not going to operational cost. So, but there's still operational cost. So, like you said, there's a difference between the blockchain and knowing that that money is all being transparent and going to where it's supposed to go. But knowing that the company still has operational cost, how do you all fund that? How does that work? Because, I'm like, okay, if all the money is going to the charity, then how do you guys operate? So,
Yeah.
how does that work?
Lemonade is a for-profit, so we actually don't take any of the money that is raised through Lemonade. I'm actually just sponsored by the other brands around us, um, family, friends, people that are supporting just Lemonade in general, the company, but that has nothing to do with the donations or any money that's coming in, from our side of it. But the charities, they're responsible. So the idea behind Give originally is that they can actually, all of our charities have their own Give nodes. And the idea is that they can mine their own Give rewards and then use that for anything that they would like paying their staff, because that's their money that they paid for those eventually. And we actually want to set up a program called Give to the Givers, which we had it up for a little bit in 2020, but we wanted to tweak it and make it perfect, so we haven't put it back up yet. But Give to the Givers is just a system that you can donate and say, hey, you know what? I know that this leader runs this charity and doesn't make anything, and I would love to pay for their costs and means. So already that's going to the operational side of it, and you can decide where you think that money is effective.
Again, I've heard this said, having been only in this blockchain space for, the last 8 months or so, one of the things that is so powerful to me is the ability for someone to your point, to anyone, like anybody can own a node, so to speak, and then they can mine crypto for that individual project. So, let me ask this question for those that might not know what a node is. Can you explain that? And then maybe when the mining process, what does that look like? Because that has a monetary, to your point, that could create a value that
Mhm.
could be donated right back into the ecosystem as
Mhm.
well, right?
Yeah, so a node is a type of technology that is owned by community members that run a blockchain. So essentially, a blockchain only works when there's community members, because you don't want ever have a blockchain that is owned by one or two people. It needs to be owned by multiple people. And so when I say multiple, I hundreds of thousands of people. And the Git blockchain is luckily set up enough where we can start doing that. And so you can buy a node, and when you buy a node, that actually grants you as a community member into the Git blockchain, and then you can start making decisions on what is best for the company. You can put out votes. You can, which a vote is like, I think that, this charity needs to have the give to the givers now. And if people were to vote on that, the company has to do it, which is the coolest part about the blockchain part of it, because you're the one that owns it. And then on top of that, you can earn rewards every single day that produce from this node machine, and you can actually use those rewards as donations. So those rewards, because all the charities accept, you can say, hey, you know what, I bought 4 nodes and I had this much rewards, and I want to donate that all to the human trafficking, and then track it from start to finish of what you are donating to. Um, but the only way that this works is if we have community members, right? So we're looking for people all over the globe that support this mission of giving and don't have the ability to give and participate with us by joining our network, getting a node, and sharing it with their friends so that we can build this awesome giving platform for people globally.
So basically, if you're not, like somebody who has a lot of cash flow, or you are not able to like donate your time or resources by simply going to these locations, but you could still be a part of this ecosystem, is what you're saying, by simply owning a node. You own a node for this particular project. You can use those rewards. Rewards are Faith mentioned a minute ago, they're like airline miles or credit card points. It's basically crypto, though. It's a cryptocurrency that is for that particular project, and it's mined through your node every day. And so you get more. I call it the chicken and the egg concept. So if when you have a node, you own the chicken, and the chicken lays eggs every day. So that's
Yep,
a
100%.
but that's kind of my analogy for it. And then you can use those tokens to, fund your favorite project or nonprofit. Um, so the point is that it's like you're always giving more eggs, essentially. So if you have chickens, yeah, you usually have more chickens than I'm sorry, you usually generate more eggs than you can use yourself. So like, being able to share those with other people
And what
just makes sense.
And what we eventually want to do is, like one of our charities is called Rome Humanitarian, and they do humanitarian trips. That's who I travel with, and I've done thousands of, not thousands, but I've done over
Hundreds.
over 10 trips with them over the last 5 years. Um, but you can actually eventually use those give rewards to purchase I mean, you could do it right now. Actually, you just would have to give them a lot, but you can use those rewards to purchase a trip and actually go and see your dream travel destination that you've always wanted to help out and do the work in. So, and we eventually want to do, purchase a blanket, purchase diapers, purchase coats, purchase stuff with these rewards that can be used for physical purposes.
Yeah. So, for I like, I'll just use a quick example. I'm trying to relate this to things that some people either do or have heard of. So, like a lot of times in churches, like I'll speak for my church, like they will sponsor a mission trip to a specific place. In some cases, you have to raise the money yourself, or it's a split. Depends on the church. Will give so much money, and then you have to raise the rest. But basically, what you're saying is you could use the tokens, the cryptocurrency that's mined through your node, to sponsor your trip to places that you might would like to be a part of hands on the ground, where you could participate in things and also see a location that you wouldn't normally get an opportunity in life to see. That was always so impactful, I think, for like our youth, for example. Our youth would always go go to places. And to your point, like I'll give you a personal example. My husband and I went to Jamaica one time on, for a vacation. And you fly in, and that was my husband's retired military, so he had seen what I call the real world. I had
Mhm.
not really seen the real world, like those of us I think who are here in the U.S. I I'm speaking generally speaking. I get that there's exceptions to this, but life is so much different in certain areas of the world. And so, when you drive by on your way to a resort and you see people living in paper boxes or a piece of tin leaning up against the side of a building and they're huddled under it. And I had never seen anything like that. So that was a real eye opener for me to know that not only that's not a temporary thing for them, they are in that mix on the daily. That's their life. And so to see that was a real eye opening experience. But, and I think that everybody should have the opportunity to see that, to understand that we do have a pretty good life. I mean, no, nothing's perfect, and I know people struggle here, even in the U.S. But the very basics of what I would call life are not always a given in some places. And so the fact that you guys can one be able to leverage the blockchain to give 100% of the money, that's big. Like, let's just own that. That is so big. And then to also be able to use, if you own a node in the project, you can use those tokens to, actually get on the ground, do the things that you want to do, see the things that, I think sometimes we just can't envision in our heads. We just don't understand how other people can live without running water or a toilet or, fill in the blanks, right? So Faith, in all of the chaos of all the things, all the needs in this world, how do you choose? Like how like you said, you handpick the charities that you work with, but like, do you have criteria? Like, do they have to speak to your heart? Like, what? Like, how do you do it? I'm just curious. How do you make decisions like this?
So we actually have a process. Well, first of all, I love that you brought up your church because I eventually want to bring churches all over the world into this. But um I handpicked these charities because I have had physical experiences with them. So I've seen them in person. I've talked to them. I know their heart. I think having energy and talking to someone and knowing who they are is very important. But on top of that, they have to go through a process of filling out a bunch of information about their charity, all their social work, everything, all their documents. We have awesome lawyers, actually, that live in Virginia that are amazing. Um, and then on top of that, they have to show us what they've done with their fund money from the last year and show us the receipts of that to prove that they are actually using the funds for exactly what they say they're using them for. And then once that's in, we board them in, and then the community members actually decide what that money goes to. So we have sections that you can choose. Okay, this month I really wanted to go to the orphanage. This month I really wanted to go to the coat drive in Nepal for the girls. I really want it to go to the hurricane this month. I really wanted to go to the shelters in Mexico that we're building. Like, there's so many things that you can have the opportunity to choose from, which is what makes us so amazing, is the community members get to decide. We've actually raised, since 2021, since I've started, we've raised over $1.3 million into our human trafficking company. And then for Rome Humanitarian, we've raised over $1 million for them. And then for the Who Lives, the water company, we've raised about $400,000 for them. So we've roughly raised almost $3 million for all those companies. And the impact of that has been amazing. We've rescued over now almost 4,000 little girls and boys. With Free a Girl, we have built orphanages. With Rome Humanitarian, we've built chicken coops. We've paid for people's colleges in Africa. We've paid for them to have a sewing company so that they can sustain their life. We've drilled hundreds of wells for clean water. With aerial recovery now, we're helping with the hurricane. We sent money over for Ukraine during the Ukraine war in the very beginning for supplies and stuff like that. So there's so much that we've done, but there's so much more that we can do. But to answer your question, the community The community chooses in the moment what projects to do, but the charities I handpick.
Okay, I love that you said that. So I just for clarity for those who are watching or listening, um, when as a giver, like right, if we're looking at this through the lens of knowing that one, knowing that our money's going 100% to where we want it to go, huge. But two, if you choose to participate as a member, a community member in the blockchain, and you are a node owner within this ecosystem, then you get a say in where that money is distributed on the monthly. So if I want to walk into like any nonprofit today and say, hey, not only do I want 100% of my money to go where I want it to go, which y'all should be doing anyway, but I also want you to send, this is my little pet project in, fill in the blank space. We can't affect that. There's no way for us to affect that. So one of the things I find so fascinating about the blockchain is the ability that it gives to the people to make decisions. The power is given back to the people, the community members that raise their hands and say, I want to make an impact. All the things that Faith just talked about. Faith, how old are you? Do you mind me asking?
I'm 23.
Okay. I know it's a little terrible to ask a lady what her
Oh,
age is, but I'm a little older than that. And I cannot honestly say that I have made an impact like Faith has made at her young age. And I would challenge most of you all to say probably the same thing, right? You probably say, you're right, man. I have not had, it's because we haven't had the right mechanism, guys. So, my hope is that you've learned something today that you're like, oh my gosh, I can be a part of this. I can actually make a real difference. On such a larger scale, which leads me to my next question, Faith. So, obviously, this tech has given us opportunities that we've never had before. But how do you see this tech make changing the game for this whole space? When I say this whole space, meaning the nonprofit world, like we're here right now, where I feel like a lot of people don't know about it yet. But what's this going to look like in 5 years?
My goal in future is that this takes over. Because we are like we are the first non-profit blockchain. I wouldn't say we're the non-profit, but like what I was saying, we're the first for-profit blockchain that supports nonprofits. We're the first like giving blockchain in the blockchain space because blockchain's so new and a lot of people aren't using it yet. And so that's such a huge advantage to us because we're the first. And I think that something that's going to be really, really exciting is having this for thousands and thousands of charities all over the world, but the best charities, right? There's there's 15 categories of giving, medical, humanitarian, like you can keep going on and on and on about these categories. If we can shrink down those categories, instead of having over 1.5 million charities in the United States, we can shrink them down to 100 of the best ones and have people all over the globe donating to these charities. We can solve problems, like we can end world hunger. I really believe that we could end world hunger in a couple years if we get everyone. There's 7 billion people in this world to participate in this. We can work together and donating $1, donating $5. It could solve all these issues, ending human trafficking, ending the ability for people not to get access to clean water on a daily, providing people that don't have medical care that need help paying for their medical treatments. There's stuff all over the world that we can do together, and I think that in five years, I could really picture this being huge. It's like known in the history books for being so amazing with how everyone's working together in this space.
So, yeah, I predict that you, Faith Thurston, are going to be in the history books as leading the charge in this space because it's an underserved space to begin with. There's huge gaps in it. I've always said from a marketing perspective, if you can figure out where the gaps and the problems are, being able to fill those gaps. So you are doing that. Now it's just about awareness, bringing more people into the ecosystem and educating them on the opportunities that not only what the infrastructure that you've built, but also like the tech that is giving us the ability to do all this stuff. That is what I find fascinating. So maybe for like the listeners or viewers who are like not tech savvy, they're like, well, this sounds good, but this whole blockchain stuff and nodes and like I don't even understand.
Yeah.
Like, what is the like what's the easiest way that they can pitch in? Can you like just break it down? Like, what's
Yeah.
the paths to like, being involved?
So first of all, thank you so much for having me today. This is amazing. Something I would like to challenge everyone outside of what I do is I had to challenge myself this year because a lot of the time when people ask us, "Hey, can you donate to this? Hey, I need help with this." The first thing is like, "Yeah, I want to do that. I totally want to do that, but I don't know if I can." And like like if I donated $1, what would I do and how would I make a difference? It does make a difference. So if you see anything on Instagram, Facebook, your church, put $1 in there. Donate $1. Just to show yourself that you can and that you can make a difference. But what you can do with me personally right now, we have a link for our hurricane fundraising right now, and it's actually an NFT. So an NFT is something that you can collect. I think of it as like a baseball card. You can collect them, you can hold on to them, and you can show, what you bought. A lot of people use them for games or for tradable things. These are actually, to me, what we're building are like for your history book, right? So you can donate $5 to the hurricane, and this goes straight to aerial recovery, and you get an NFT, and you can actually show your kids in 5 years, hey, look, I donated to the Hurricane Helene, the Hurricane Milton. Look what I did. Go see what aerial recovery and how they helped use these funds right now. They're actually saving people's lives, and it's because of me. And so, really, really simple to purchase this NFT. All you need is a credit card, and that will be your first crypto purchase in the crypto space, and you're going to be so addicted to it. You're just going to want to keep giving and giving and giving. It's so easy. And so, yeah, that's something that I think that you can do today and share it with your friends. Right now, we've raised $2,000. I would love that number to go to $200,000. We just need to spread this with as many people as possible. And I know that right now the economy has been really hard, and it's been hard for people all over the country. And um, but you know what? $5, $1. I believe if you give, God blesses you. Even
Amen. Yeah.
so, yeah.
So just a quick note, the link was super long. So what I did is I just put a pretty link over it so you make it super easy. So all you have to do is go to kimgarst.com, which has nothing to do with me, by the way. The gift, it's just a mechanism for you to remember it, and get to the link that Faith is telling you about when it comes to buying an NFT that will support the Helene victims. Faith, I just really want to say thank you for not. I mean, it's one thing for thank you for being here and sharing, but above and beyond that, I just really want to thank you for your heart for what you're doing, and the time and energy you're putting into this. And I think this is something that is a calling. I've always said that. It is a calling, and it's something that's so individualistic and heart-centered for someone when they, especially someone your age who is already at a place where this is life for you and you have a vision that is way beyond your years. So girl, I just hats off to you. I'm just so impressed with all that you're doing and the impact that you're truly making. It's huge. So for those who want like more information, I know we gave them the Helene victims to donate for that, but your website, I'm going to pop that up as well. And then where can people, like, if they want to connect with you personally, where's the best place? What does that look like?
Shoot me a DM on the Lemonade Instagram. So it's Lemonade Co. So just not the dot. In Instagram, and just shoot me a message, and I'll get back to you there, and then I can respond and we can connect. Or you can email
Awesome.
me at Faith or F Thurston at Lemonade Co.
Okay, excellent. Well, I'm just floored. Like I said, I'm so excited about what you're doing, and we're super thankful you said yes to coming and sharing all this with us today. And if anybody has any questions after, like I know if you're watching or listening later, and you're like, man, I have questions, don't hesitate to drop them down under. We'll be monitoring it. We'll be happy to make sure that we pop it up. Also, I'm going to put these on the screen real quick. DM Faith on Instagram at Lemonade Co. Okay, guys. All right. All
Oh,
right.
I did want to say thank you so much for having me on, Kim. So nice meeting
Absolutely.
you, and
Yes.
I love your glasses. They're so cute.
Thank you. Thank you.
On the impact thing, I do think people, you especially, have made impact in your life that is so, I mean, it doesn't have to be like going to Africa or, it could be literally helping your mom and your family members and your neighbor. Like, there's so much that you can do. So, thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Well,
And I,
thank you for saying that. I think sometimes we look back at certain times in our lives and we're like, "Have I made a difference?" I think certainly at my age, I'm getting to that place where like I'm reflecting and I'm like, "What have I left behind?" And so I think the ability for us to step forward and knowing like that's one of the things I love about what you're doing is there's true impact that you can put your finger on. Like lots of times when you make impact, you can't, to your point, you do make impact. You just might not know it. Like,
oh
you
yeah, every
taking
single
a
day.
neighbor, right? You take your neighbor to the doctor or whatever. That's impact.
Mhm.
But I think it's just a different impact when you're like, I've saved, over this many children from sex trafficking, or, you know, it's to me, it's not that it's any less. I'm not trying to diminish anybody's impact. I'm just saying that, it's hard sometimes for us to measure it, you know. And so, I think that that's such, again, though, this is an opportunity for us, to participate in the Give blockchain in a way that, you know, allows us to put more quantification on that impact. There you go. That's a fancy word, but a fancy way of saying it.
I actually did want to throw this in here because I got informed it yesterday, and I can send you the link, Kim. We actually are doing a coat drive for the little girls in Nepal. They're gonna go visit November 1st. There's 250 of them that are being fostered, and so I actually like they're collecting coats in Utah, but I have a link to actually just put money in there too that they're gonna be buying next week, and I can send pictures and I'll be sharing all those. But that's another easy way to make an impact, and that's on PayPal. So I will share that link with you. I got that last night. Um,
Yes, do please. And we can send that out and we'll drop it into the comments here too. So if you're watching, or I know we have quite a crowd over on Twitter. So if, we'll tweet it out later and make sure everybody, has access to that as well. So,
okay,
all
I'll send
right.
it right now. Okay, thank you so much for
Thank
having me.
you.
You have an awesome day.
And same. And for all of you who are with us live or even listening on the replay, thank you so much for spending some time with us. Time's one of our most valuable things. So when you spend some with us, we really, really value it and appreciate it. We'll see you next week, same time, same place. And have a great rest of your week. Take care. God bless.
Thank you.